The importance of home inspection, Part 2 feet. 7. Electrical system. 7.1 The inspector shall inspect 1. The service drop. 2. The service entrance conductors, cables, and raceways. 3. The service equipment and main disconnects. 4. The service grounding. 5. The interior components of service panels and subpanels. 6. The conductors. 7. The overcurrent protection devices. 8. A representative number of installed lighting fixtures, switches, and receptacles. 9. The ground fault circuit interrupters. B. Describe 1. The amperage and voltage rating of the service. 2. The location of main disconnect and subpanels. 3. The wiring methods. See report. 1. On the presence of solid conductor aluminum branch circuit wiring. 2. On the absence of smoke detectors. 7.2 The inspector is not required to inspect 1. The remote control devices unless the device is the only control device. 2. The alarm systems and components. 3. The low voltage wiring, systems and components. 4. The ancillary wiring, systems and components not a part of the primary electrical power distribution system. 5. Measure amperage, voltage, or impedance. 8. Heating system. 8.1 The inspector shall inspect 1. The installed heating equipment. 2. The vent systems, flues, and chimneys. B. Describe 1. The energy source. 2. The heating method by its distinguishing characteristics. 8.2 The inspector is not required to inspect 1. The interiors of flues or chimneys which are not readily accessible. 2. The heat exchanger. 3. The humidifier or dehumidifier. 4. The electronic air filter. 5. The solar space heating system. 6. Determine heat supply adequacy or distribution balance. 9. Air conditioning systems. 9.1 The inspector shall inspect the installed central and through-wall cooling equipment. B. Describe 1. The energy source. 2. The cooling method by its distinguishing characteristics. 9.2 The inspector is not required to inspect electronic air filters. B. Determine cooling supply adequacy or distribution balance. 10. Interior. 10 January The inspector shall inspect 1. The walls, ceilings, and floors. 2. The steps, stairways, and railings. 3. The countertops and a representative number of installed cabinets. 4. A representative number of doors and windows. 5. Garage doors and garage door operators. 10 February The inspector is not required to Inspect. 1. The paint, wallpaper, and other finish treatments. 2. The carpeting. 3. The window treatments. 4. The central vacuum systems. 5. The household appliances. 6. Recreational facilities. 11. Insulation and ventilation. 11 January the inspector shall inspect 1. The insulation and vapor retarders in unfinished spaces. 2. The ventilation of attics and foundation areas. 3. The mechanical ventilation systems. B. Describe 1. The insulation and vapor retarders in unfinished spaces. 2. The absence of insulation in unfinished spaces at conditioned surfaces. 11 February the inspector is not required to disturb insulation or vapor retarders. B. Determine indoor air quality. 12. Fireplaces and solid fuel burning appliances. 12 January the inspector shall inspect 1. The system components. 2. The vent systems, flues, and chimneys. B. Describe 1. The fireplaces and solid fuel burning appliances. 2. The chimneys. 12 February the inspector is not required to inspect 1. The interiors of flues or chimneys. 2. The fire screens and doors. 3. The seals and gaskets. 4. The automatic fuel feed devices. 5. The mantles and fireplace surrounds. 6. The combustion makeup air devices. 7. The heat distribution assist whether gravity-controlled or fan-assisted. B. Ignite or extinguish fires. C. Determine draft characteristics. D. Move fireplace inserts or stoves or firebox contents. 13. General limitations and exclusions. 13 January General limitations. A. Inspections performed in accordance with these standards of practice. 1. Are not technically exhaustive. 2. Will not identify concealed conditions or latent defects. B. These standards of practice are applicable to buildings with 4 or fewer dwelling units and their garages or carports. 13 February General exclusions. A. The inspector is not required to perform any action or make any determination unless specifically stated in these standards of practice, except as may be required by lawful authority. B. Inspectors are not required to determine 1. The condition of systems or components which are not readily accessible. 2. The remaining life of any system or component. 3. The strength, adequacy, effectiveness, or efficiency of any system or component. 4. The causes of any condition or deficiency. 5. The methods, materials, or costs of corrections. 6. Future conditions including, but not limited to, failure of systems and components. 7. The suitability of the property for any specialized use. compliance with regulatory requirements, which includes codes, regulations, laws, ordinances, etc. 8. The market value of the property or its marketability. 9. The advisability of the purchase of the property. 10. The presence of potentially hazardous plants or animals, including, but not limited to, wood, destroying organisms or diseases harmful to humans. 11. The presence of any environmental hazards, including, but not limited to, toxins, carcinogens, noise, and contaminants in soil, water, and air. 12. The effectiveness of any system installed or methods utilized to control or remove suspected hazardous substances. 13. The operating costs of systems or components. 14. The acoustical properties of any system or component. C. Inspectors are not required to offer, 1. Or perform any act or service contrary to law. 2. Or perform engineering services. 3. Or perform work in any trade or any professional service other than home inspection. 4. Warranties or guarantees of any kind. D. Inspectors are not required to operate 1. Any system or component which is shut down or otherwise inoperable. 2. Any system or component which does not respond to normal operating controls. 3. Shut-off valves. E. Inspectors are not required to enter 1. Any area which will, in the opinion of the inspector, likely be dangerous to the inspector or other persons or damage the property, or 2. Its systems or components. 3. The underfloor crawl spaces or attics which are not readily accessible. F. Inspectors are not required to inspect 1. Underground items, including, but not limited to, underground storage tanks or other underground indications of their presence, whether abandoned or active. 2. Systems or components which are not installed. 3. Decorative items. 4. Systems or components located in areas that are not entered in accordance with these standards of practice. 5. Detached structures other than garages and carports. 6. Common elements or common areas in multi-unit housing, such as condominium properties or cooperative housing. G. Inspectors are not required to 1. Perform any procedure or operation which will, in the opinion of the inspector, likely be dangerous to the inspector or other persons, or damage the property or its systems or components. 2. Move suspended ceiling tiles, personal property, furniture, equipment, plants, soil, snow, ice, or debris. 3. Dismantle any system or component, except as explicitly required by these standards of practice.